Welcome back to the crossover, and today we are getting right into the video, as this is not going to be the videos that I normally post, because today is going to be a rant video about the US men's national team, because I'm honestly pissed off and confused about the whole situation and the standing of the US men's national team right now. We are officially 3 years away from holding the biggest competition of sports in the world, the 2026 World Cup, being held here in the United States on our home soil. The greatest football players in the world will all be here, but who we don't know who's going to be there is the US men's national team head coach, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. How do we not have a head coach already that's going to be the face of this team, that's going to get the U.S. people behind him and supporting the U.S. men's national team here at home? It makes absolutely no sense to me. We've already had some controversy early about the World Cup logo. Obviously, there was a logo put out that looked absolutely beautiful. Looked like it could be one of those World Cup logos that would just live on in history as one of the best and greatest and most appealing logos ever. I'm going to put a picture of it right here. Obviously, the U.S. Federation, Canada, and Mexico are holding this tournament together, and they all had to vote upon a logo and agree upon a logo. And this logo right here seemed to be one of the best logos ever for a World Cup, but the U.S. had a problem with it because Mexico was at the top, and the U.S. was in the middle, Canada in the bottom. They didn't like that the U.S. was in the middle, that it made Mexico seem like they were the main hosts of the World Cup when they're not, because it's the U.S. holding most of the games. So we came out, we said, no, we don't agree with that, we don't want this logo. We came out with this sort of minimalistic logo with a 2 and a 6 with the World Cup trophy in the middle. I guess I was a fan of the original logo that was proposed, but I guess I don't have a problem with this. Whatever, I can live with it. It looks alright, it's customizable, very minimalistic. They're going to be putting landmarks or different pictures of the different cities holding the games. So I guess it's customizable. It can be cool. It can work out well. And that was the first controversy, but definitely not the biggest, as the head coaching problem for the U.S. is the biggest controversy. And before we get into the Berhalter stuff, before we get into who's going to be our head coach in the future, let's just look back real quick on the previous head coaches for the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, the most decorated, the one with the most wins, Bruce Arena. He was with the U.S. men's national team from 98 to 2006 during his first stint. He won 3 gold cups, 2002, 2005, and 2017, when he later has his second stint that we'll get into in a little bit here. He had 2 World Cup appearances in 2002 and 2006. Notably, the 2002 World Cup, which was the best World Cup of the modern era for the U.S. men's national team. We made it all the way to the quarterfinals, where we lost against Germany. Obviously, in 1930, we made it to the semis versus Argentina, but that's not kind of the modern age. So, modern age, that is the best that the U.S. men's national team has done in a World Cup. Then he came back in 2006, couldn't make it out of the group in that World Cup, which eventually led to him being fired. We then went out, got Bob Bradley. From 2007 to 2011, he won the 2007 World Cup, 2010 World Cup, didn't lose a game in the group. We tied England and Slovenia. We got a last-minute goal against Algeria to send us through the group stage, and we had a heartbreaking extra-time loss against Ghana. 2011, the Gold Cup, we lost 4-2 against Mexico, and that was the last straw on the camel's back, which led to Bob Bradley being fired from the U.S. men's national team. We go out, we get Jurgen Klinsmann, who seemed like he was going to be the long-term answer for the U.S. Seems like the country was behind him. He was the leader of that U.S. men's national team. 2013, he wins the Gold Cup with us. We go into the 2014 World Cup, which was the most electric World Cup in recent history for the U.S. We were in the group of death with Portugal, Ghana, and Germany. The first game against Ghana had previously eliminated us in the last World Cup. We came out, we beat them 2-1, kind of got our get back there, so we kind of got everybody hyped and involved. In the 81st minute of the Portugal game, we scored. We took a 2-1 lead against Portugal, who had a massive squad in that year. And then in the 95th minute, Portugal tied it, so that was a little bit heartbreaking. We lost a very close game, 1-0 to Germany, who went on to be champions. But with all of those points that we did accumulate throughout those 3 games, we got to the round of 16, lost to Belgium in extra time 2-1. Belgium also had a stacked team, but things were looking good after that 2014 World Cup, at least For me, it seemed like the country was really getting into soccer and getting behind this team, which was awesome. But then things kind of took a little bit of a turn for the worse with Klinsmann, as in 2015, we finished 4th in the Gold Cup. Then we lost 4-0 in the semifinals of the Copa America to Argentina. Then we lost at home against Mexico during the World Cup qualifier. We lost 4-0 against Costa Rica like 4 or 5 days later in that World Cup qualifier. He kind of lost the locker room. We were risking not qualifying for the World Cup, so Jurgen Klinsmann was sent out of there after that electric 2014 World Cup. And Bruce Arena came back in. Like I said, the most decorated U.S. men's national team head coach. He came in as the short term, kind of just get us into the World Cup, help us out here, and then we're going to go figure something else out. It was rumored that Jesse Marsch was supposed to take over. Afterwards, Jesse Marsch, who at the time was with the New York Red Bulls. We needed to win our 4 home games, which we did, but then we needed to win 1 game either against Panama, Honduras, or Trinidad to get us into that World Cup. Last game, we're playing Trinidad. We lose 2-1. We don't qualify for the 2018 World Cup, which kind of halted the momentum of soccer growing in the United States. I feel like kind of halted that momentum. So Bruce Arena was then gone because he was a short-term answer anyway. And we had David Sarchan, who was the assistant under Bruce Arena for a little bit. He played 12 matches, only got 3 wins. We were looking for who was going to be our long-term answer. And then we got Greg Berhalter. So now that brings us into the modern day, post-2018, modern day of the U.S. men's national team. He was there, obviously, in 2019 until just recently after the last World Cup in 2022. He had the highest winning percentage of any coach in U.S. men's national team history. We won the Nations League with him in 2020. 2021, we beat Mexico in the final. Mexico and the U.S., obviously heated rivalry. They've been our biggest rivals forever. And we finally found someone who could consistently beat Mexico. And that was huge for the U.S. men's national team. Huge. Greg Berhalter only lost 1 game against Mexico. It was his very first game against Mexico with the U.S. men's national team. And it was a friendly, so it didn't really matter. And then he went on to beat Mexico in the Gold Cup in World Cup qualifiers. He tied one in the World Cup qualifiers. He beat them in the Gold Cup. It was looking good. It was looking like Greg Berhalter was our guy. He was wearing Jordans on the sideline. He was giving bounce passes. I feel like the country was really behind this guy who's like extremely American. He can coach, obviously. We can finally beat Mexico. It finally seems like we are the best team in North America. The country is getting behind him. Things are looking up. Then we go into the 2022 World Cup. Wales, England, and Iran in our team, in our group, I mean. Obviously, the England-US rivalry has been going on since the inception of the United States. We were looking at that game as soccer versus football. Can we beat the English? Obviously, first game against Wales, we're winning 1-0. Wales ties it late. We go out against a very overmatched team in England. We were very overmatched talent-wise. We come out with a 0-0 result against England, which was like, okay, nobody won. I guess we can stay friendly-ish after the whole T incident in Boston. And then we came out and we beat Iran 1-0. Things are looking up, but Pulisic gets hurt. A little bit of a tough situation there. But regardless, we're able to make it to the round of 16. And then in the round of 16, we just looked flat against Netherlands. Obviously, lost 3-1. And then the controversy begins. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Gio Reyna, one of the best young midfielders in the Bundesliga with Dortmund. He's 20 years old. He's never really established himself in Berhalter's team. He would play some games. He would come off the bench other games. But then the parents got involved. And it's like some little league parents versus coaches. I don't like this coach because he's not playing my son. It just makes no sense how this is happening at the level of a men's national team at a World Cup. It makes no sense. This is some little league stuff. It cannot be happening at this stage. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And not to mention, Gio Reyna is now possibly out at Borussia Dortmund as they're looking to sell him. But the parents are like, oh, you're not playing my son, so they blackmail Greg Berhalter. They blackmailed Greg Berhalter because they were taking exception to their son not being in his team. So obviously, this is a tough situation. I don't really understand it completely, but apparently 1991, when Greg Berhalter was 18 years old, freshman at North Carolina, an incident that took place 31 years ago. Apparently him and his then girlfriend, now wife and mother of 4 kids with Greg Berhalter. Apparently Greg and her got into a fight back in 1991 where Greg Berhalter kicked her in the leg. So obviously tough situation there. Danielle Reyna, Gio Reyna's mom, who was Greg Berhalter's now wife, roommate at the time, they were roommates in college, came out and brought all of this to light. Why? Because Greg Berhalter was not playing her son in the men's national team. So then Greg Berhalter steps down during this whole investigation about what's going on, what's not going on. And again, the fact that this is even coming to light from a mom of a player who's not getting played on the U.S. men's national team in the biggest stage of world football, in the biggest stage of sports, to me is honestly just some Little League stuff. Again, it seems like Greg Berhalter and his wife have this all figured out. This incident happened 31 years ago. The fact that she would bring it up now because she was roommates with Greg Berhalter's wife brings it all up now because her son's not playing and because she doesn't want Greg Berhalter to be there. But that whole situation happened. Greg Berhalter's momentum, I guess you can say, as the men's national team was halted, not just by the 3-1 loss to Netherlands, which I feel like he would stay as the U.S. men's national team even after that loss because of what he had been doing with the U.S. men's national team. He steps down during this investigation. Things go on. The investigation is ongoing, and in the meantime, we assign Anthony Hudson, who was an assistant under Berhalter. He was an interim coach for 5 games, which he won 2, tied 2, and lost 1. 2 ties, and the loss came in friendlies. He won both games in the Nations League, so that was massive. The U.S. Soccer Federation comes out and says, hey, Anthony Hudson, this is our guy. He's going to be here through the summer. He's going to carry us through this Nations League and through the Gold Cup that's happening this summer. But then Anthony Hudson comes out just 6 days after the U.S. Federation's announcement and says, hold up, actually, I'm quitting because I received a job offer somewhere else, an undisclosed job offer. I don't think we even know what that job offer was today. We have no idea. I personally don't know where he is. So he quits just 2 weeks before a massive semifinal versus Mexico in the Nations League. And then the U.S. Federation is left like, wait, we just said that this is going to be our guy for the summer, and now he's gone? So apparently Matt Croker, who is now leaving Southampton, who just got relegated in the Premier League, is coming over as U.S. sporting director. I think his term starts on August 2nd. He was kind of faced with this decision of like, oh, what are we going to do now? So he appointed B.J. Callaghan, even though Matt himself is still not even the sporting director for the U.S. men's national team, so I don't really know how that happens there. And now we have B.J. Callaghan as our head coach for the U.S. men's national team. And B.J. Callaghan, I had never heard of him, so I looked him up. I looked up what this guy has done before, and his first match ever, B.J. Callaghan's first match ever as a head coach, period, not just for the U.S. men's national team, but as a head coach, period, is going to be against our biggest rival in the semifinal of a major international tournament. How does that make any sense? B.J. Callaghan was an assistant with the U.S. men's national team since 2019, so obviously he's been with the team, but he has never been a head coach before. He's been the assistant with the St. Joe's women's team, assistant with the Villanova women's team, then on to the Nova men's team. Then he was an assistant with the Philadelphia Union, but he has never been a head coach in his life. And his very first game being a head coach is going to be against our biggest rivals in a Nations League semifinal. It makes no sense. How is this the current state of the U.S. men's national team? How do we have a guy who's never been a head coach before? He's been the assistant, and now we're saying, hey, now you're the head coach. Go beat Mexico. Go beat Mexico in a major semifinal, trying to get us to a final. And probably, I guess the way that things are going, he's going to be the head coach through the summer for the Gold Cup. It makes no sense. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope that he comes out against Mexico. I hope that he wins. I hope that he gets the boys fired up. I hope we can get the Nations League. I hope we can get the Gold Cup this summer. Whether or not he's there, I hope for the best, but it just makes no sense how the United States of America does not have a head coach. Like, get it the fuck together. There seems to be no urgency out of the U.S. Soccer Federation. Obviously, we have Matt coming in August, but for the time being, I don't even know who the sporting director is. I don't even know who's conducting these supposed interviews that are going on. We're already not respected in world football, and the fact that we can't even get a head coach to coach our team, we can't decide on who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, is absolutely disgusting. I mean, this is the best U.S. men's national team that we've had in a while, and we can't find somebody to be the helm and to be the coach and to be the guy. We just got Florian Balogun. Obviously, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. We just got him to sign with the U.S. men's national team, which is massive for us. Great young player, supposed to be the guy here for the U.S. this World Cup in 2026 and this summer now here. Obviously, we're still probably going to be outmatched talent-wise against many of the major competitors in the World Cup. But look at the Miami Heat, what they just did in the playoffs. They didn't have the best lineup, but they had Spoelstra, who's been that guy, who is that guy, who's getting these guys to play hard. And honestly, under Berhalter, it seemed like the players were playing hard. The players were playing for him. And that's what we need. We need a guy who's going to go into that locker room, get these guys to play hard, play with grit. Don't be an easy beat. Yeah, they're more talented, but we're going to play harder. We're going to get second balls. We're going to go out there. We're going to give them a run for their money, and we're going to come out victorious on home soil in the 2026 World Cup. Let's get somebody who can be that guy for us. There's plenty of people who want the job. We've got Jesse Marsch, who for me has to be the guy. I mean, I just absolutely loved what he did with the Red Bulls. Went on to he was also at Leipzig. Kind of struggled a little bit, but he had the boys going at Leeds. Played a massive role there. He brought over McKinney and Tyler Adams into that Leeds team. And Brandon Anderson, so obviously he's got some experience with these guys. I think he'd be the perfect candidate. But we've also got guys like Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, Alexi Lawless, Tony Miola, Jim Curtin, Luis Enrique. All of these guys have talked about how they would take that job and they're interested in that job and they want that job. So just hire somebody. I'm getting to the point where it's like, just hire somebody. Tell the U.S. people, hey, this is our guy. He's going to lead us. Let's all get behind him, and we will. The U.S. people will follow suit with whichever decision that you make, but you got to make a decision. There seems to be no urgency, nothing going on. The U.S. Soccer Federation seems to not really care, honestly. We're getting a new sporting director in August, so it seems like we're not even gonna worry about all of this until August, until after the Gold Cup, until after the Nations League. And again, players are backing Berhalter. Pulisic and Tim Weah have come out and said that they're backing Berhalter. Obviously, I don't know what that means for Gio Reyna, and honestly, I don't really care. If he's not on the team, I don't care. We've got plenty of midfielders who can play just as well, if not better than him. But just if Berhalter's your guy, go out there and back him. Say this is our guy, and the U.S. people will follow suit and will back him. It seems like the players are playing for him. It seems like he's got the guys going. He's wearing Jordans. He's making all of these bounce passes. He seems like a guy that the U.S. people could really get behind. So if he's your guy, go out there, back him, say, we understand. We let him go because of the investigation, but he's coming back. He was just offered a job at Liga MX, and he denied it because he's waiting for the U.S. men's national team. It seems like he could be coming back. He wants to come back. So if he wants to come back and the guys were playing for him, bring him back. But U.S. Federation, just get it together. Fucking hire somebody. Tell the U.S. people who's our guy. We'll follow suit. We'll follow him. But figure it all out. There seems to be no urgency. We need a head coach, and we need him now. But having a guy who's never been a head coach before, his first game ever as a head coach is going to be against our biggest rival in a major international tournament. Makes no sense. It's unacceptable. Get it the fuck together.